A wise woman once said, "I am not lucky, I'm blessed." Well, that woman was Nicki Minaj, and she may not have been talking about marriage, but I am. You guys, welcome back to the opinion you didn't ask for. I'm Hannah, and I will say the number one piece of advice that I give, whether solicited or unsolicited, is marriage, dating, relationship advice. I feel like that has been, throughout my whole life, something that I give pretty decent advice, okay? I feel like I didn't always live by it, but I would give great advice to my friends who had boyfriends. I didn't have a boyfriend, but I sure gave them advice on their boyfriends. So I feel like that's something that I've always had a lot of passion for. And whether someone asks or not what they should do or who they should date or who they should marry, I will tell them. But I have often been asked for my opinion and my advice. And so I feel like to give some validity to my dating, relationship, marriage advice, I should probably introduce myself as who I was as a girlfriend, as a fiance, as a wife, and share how Taylor, my husband, and I met and the amazingness of that. And I don't want to brag. I don't say this to be arrogant or to be insensitive to other people's situations, but I have an amazing marriage. I have an amazing relationship with my husband. He is my best friend, first and foremost, the love of my life, the yin to my yang. He is the calm to my very loud and wild storm. I mean, you've gotten a taste, Kate. Once again, bless that man, okay? He is just always, he makes me a better person in every way, shape, and form. So I realized that there are not a lot of people who know Taylor and I's story because we met and married so fast, and then we moved away, and no one really got to know him in like my group of friends. A lot of my family members, it was kind of like this random guy just came into our family and he was there, but then we were gone, so they didn't really have time to get to know him. But he is amazing. He is the best. And this story starts out with a blind date, which those never go well. Can I just say that? Like, if you have ever been set up on a blind date, you always leave feeling like, wow, the person who set us up hates me, or like, wow, they think I am ugly, or man, they must think my personality sucks if they thought this guy and I were gonna get along, okay? Blind dates, never good. But I texted one of my friends one day and asked if I could come visit the town her and her husband lived in to potentially move there after hair school. And a normal response would be, yes, of course you can, right? Like that would be a normal response. No, her text to me comes back as, "Oh my gosh, Han, I know who your future husband is." I'm like, okay, well, that's not what I asked for, actually. I just asked if I could spend the night at your house. Like, that is not what I was signing up for. Because I had just gotten out of, like, a very short relationship with a guy who, it was not a good situation. So I was like, I am not wanting to date. I was not looking to date. And that is what she sends me. I'm like, what the heck? And so I just texted back and I was like, okay. Like, I don't really know where to go from here because here is the problem now. Am I about to lose her as a friend because this guy is going to be the worst? And I'm going to be like, you think very little of me, girl. Like, that is sad. I am prepped for that. Well, she sends me his Instagram, so there's no such thing as a blind date anymore. Let's be real. But she sends me his Instagram and I'm like, oh, okay. Like we can maybe see about this. Well, at the same moment that she texted me that, she told her husband, and he texts Taylor and says, "Hey, we know who your future wife is. Like, we found her." And he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, that is not a normal conversation. That's just not a normal conversation. So here we are being set up on this blind date, and her husband and Taylor worked together. So they had to plan a time. We decided to do a group date to make it less awkward, but they had to plan their days off and request time off to be the same weekend. So it was going to be 2 weeks out. And they were in a town 2.5 hours from where I lived, which, that's fine. No big deal. I'm busy in school. He's working. I don't know anything about this guy. Well, one day I'm at school and I open Instagram and he had DM'd me. And he's like, hey, I hear we're going on a blind date. And I was just like, I don't do DMs. Like, this is just not going to work for me. And I don't flirt well. I am very aware of this, okay? I'm not a flirty person. I'm sarcastic. I will make slightly rude jokes, right? Like, that's my flirty vibe. And I truly did not know where this was going to go, okay? I was kind of keeping him at arm's length. So I was like, here's my number. I don't do DMs. Well, a few hours later, I get a text and, long story short, we texted every single day for a week from wake up till bedtime, and bedtime ended up being like 1 or 2 in the morning because we would just be texting each other. And then, which, spoiler alert, this man is the world's worst texter that has ever existed. Okay, he has 1,000, yes, I am outing him right now, his ADHD. God bless him and me. He has 1,000 unopened text messages right now. Okay, I'm setting the stage for how bad of a texter he is, right? Like, terrible. 3 to 7 business years is how long it's going to take for him to get back to you. If you need something, text me. Okay, that's where we're at in our relationship. If people actually need to get a hold of him, they contact me because they will not be texted back. I didn't know this because he would text me back and forth as if he had nothing to do in the day, as if he lived on his phone, as if he loved texting. I would have never known he was like this because he gave me all his attention all the time. So now we're going into the week of our date. And we had 6 days, and we decided to have our first FaceTime. You guys, our first FaceTime was 7 hours long. If you're thinking like, wow, I wonder if a podcast is for her. Can she really talk that much? Oh, surely I can. 7 hours was our first FaceTime. I went to bed at 5 a.m. and woke up at 7 to go to school. Okay, I was very tired, but I couldn't get enough of him, right? And that sounds like a crazy person, but it was just this feeling of being seen for myself because I had decided I wasn't looking to date. I wasn't really interested in a relationship right at that time. So I was like, you know what? I am just gonna let the crazy out. I am going to be so much myself that it is going to take the world's most incredible man to be able to, wrangle all of this and not run away being like, she's crazy, okay? Which it's funny because when Taylor was asking my friends to describe me, they're like, okay, what is she like? And my friend goes, she's great. She's crazy. She's crazy great. So he has called me crazy great our whole relationship because he's like, it's the most fitting thing for you. Like, you are amazing. You're a little nuts. I am who I am, okay? So as the week continues, the FaceTime hours get a little bit less and less because ya girl was tired. But our second one was 5 hours. Our third one was 4 hours. And our fourth one, okay, you get the idea. Okay, I don't really need to go down this road. However, by Thursday, we're on FaceTime number 4. I realize, I don't remember the exact moment. I just remember while we were talking and looking at him, I just had this whole almost out-of-body experience where I had the thought so vividly, I'm going to marry him. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, we haven't even met in person, you guys, okay? That is how wild this is. And I had told him that whoever I married, I wanted to date them for a year, be engaged for like 6 to 9 months, and then get married. Okay, that's where I was kind of at. Yeah, okay. So, quick timeline. We met end of October. We started texting end of October. We got married in February. Yes, 4 months. From the day he sent me the DM to the day we got married was 4 months exactly. Wild, I know. Pick your jaws up. I understand. Insanity. Because that is not what I had wanted. That is not what I had planned for. I was not going to be that girl who had a really quick dating engagement marriage kind of a thing. Like, it was going to end terribly. So many divorces happen, right? Like, I was not going to be a part of that statistic. So I did not see this coming, right? Like, I am blindsided by this whole situation. And we meet, and it was as if I had known him my entire life, okay? Like, I used to say, and this is so crazy because ever since I was a kid, all the way through, growing up my whole life as an adult to roommates, I would tell them this. I would always say, I have a soulmate. Like, there is someone out there in the world who was made just for me, and I can feel it. And everyone would tell me, like, Hannah, that's not a thing. Like, no, you don't. You can marry anyone as long as your, beliefs and morals and everything align. And oh no, that's not how God made it. Okay, well, I don't think you get to tell God what he's allowed to make. But he made Taylor for me. He is my soulmate in every sense of the word. I have never been more complete. I have never felt more safe. I have never felt more loved, or like I can be my complete self without judgment, without being embarrassed or disappointed or whatever it may be, right? Like, and I have become a better person through marriage. And I think some people see that as changing. And there are toxic things some marriages do where it's like, oh, they changed for the person. But there is such a healthy thing in marriage when your person helps you become a better version of yourself. For instance, I have a temper. And I don't think things through all the way sometimes. So if someone gets me going, I will type a message with every ounce of energy I have to give, and I'll just push send. I won't even reread it, okay? I send it with the fury that I'm feeling, and then I go on about my day. Okay, I start acting like my maiden name. It's a problem. Well, since meeting Taylor, I'll type out that message, and I'll go to push send, and he'll be like, okay, how about we delete that draft and let's write another draft? Until we get to a draft that's much nicer and way more calm and, isn't burning every bridge you've ever walked across, okay? And that is something that I needed. I needed to be able to be in control of my emotions and my feelings. And it's not like he doesn't let me still be fiery or opinionated or obviously clearly. But to rein it in to where I'm able to have almost like the higher ground, like I'm able to be the mature, respectful, whatever, so that I'm not lowering myself sometimes to where other people are at and trying to pull me to. Once again, made me better. So we go on this first date, and the song What If by Kane Brown? It came on. If you don't know it, I'm not going to start singing it for you, okay? Go look it up. But that song came on as we were driving to our friend's house, and I felt like God literally put it on the radio. And you might be like, that's not a thing. Once again, you don't get to tell me what's a thing. Because I realized, what if this is it? What if this is my forever? Like, what if he was made for me? Like, I feel like he was. And what's funny is that weekend of our first date, another friend that I had that lived in the same town as the friends that set us up, she invited me to come over, and she had invited a couple single guys to also come over to their house, and they had me come over for dinner. So while he's hanging out with his friends who set us up, the next day I was at this kind of trying to be a setup thing, but they didn't know that I had just been set up with him, and the whole time I was missing him and wishing I could just be over there, and he's like, oh great, you're going on dates the day after you meet me, and I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't know this was happening, okay? I thought they just wanted to hang out with me. No, everyone's trying to set me up. Apparently, they thought I was a project, okay? But what's funny is Taylor is very much not my type in the sense of, if it was not for my therapist, shout out to therapists, that I had before I met Taylor, I would not have been able to have the relationship with Taylor that I have, because he, my therapist, not he, Taylor, he told me in my last session with him that I needed to stop finding guys who were projects. I needed to stop trying to go after the bad boy who had issues, who didn't give me the time that I deserved, who made me feel like I had to beg for their attention and, that I needed to fix them or heal them. And he was like, let yourself be adored. Let the person you marry or the person you date be obsessed with you. Like, you deserve that. Once again, my therapist used to sometimes cry in our sessions when I would talk about like certain things. And I was like, aren't I supposed to be crying here? Not you. I guess I don't know how therapy works, but should you be paying me? Is this healing something in you? Like, okay, so he's like in tears telling me how much I deserved to be loved and adored and cherished and never feel like I am a second choice, to never feel like I'm an option. So, here I had that last therapy session, and I'm like, okay, probably not going to follow that because my track record wasn't good, okay? I was always trying to find the project. I was always trying to find the person who I thought I could fix and make better and all of those things. And then in walks Taylor, who sends the cheesiest texts. And I would just be like, ew, gross. Like, and I would read them and be like, what is this guy talking about? Like, no, absolutely no. And if it wasn't for that therapy session, I probably would have been like, this isn't going to work. Like, you are cheesy. Like, I always told him he's like chunky peanut butter. Like, even when he would try to be smooth, it would come out like, I just couldn't, you guys. And it's so funny because he'll say something so cheesy and I'm like, okay, chunky peanut butter. Because it wasn't smooth. It's not, whatever. But it allowed me to realize, like, he's obsessed with me. This guy is in love with me. And he thinks that I can do no wrong. Okay, he doesn't actually think that. Learn that. But he sees all of me and is like, yep, that's who I want. Like, that is what I want in my wife, in the future mother of my kids. Like, that's who I want to grow old with. And he has made me feel that every single day since we met. Like, every single day of our marriage and our life, he has made me feel like I am his everything. And I realized I needed that in my husband. I never thought I needed that, right? Like, I thought, okay, I'll have a husband who loves me. I will find my joy in my kids, or I'll have a bunch of, girlfriends, and like, oh, my husband and I, we'll have a good relationship. I didn't expect to have what I have. And we just recently celebrated our 8-year anniversary. And I'm like, it just has gotten better every single year. People warn about, the first year is really hard. And, the 7-year itch. And all these random wise tales. I don't know. We all know I don't know my sayings very well. It's one of those tales, right? Like, it's this myth, this legend that you're going to struggle. You're going to have hard times. And I was recently on Instagram tapping through this lady who does a lot of polls. And someone was talking about how some awful toxic things that her husband does, and, should she stay, and has anyone else gone through this? And so this influencer will kind of post people's responses to the OG poster's comment. And so many women were like, no, that is a red flag. That is terrible. You should not feel that way in marriage and all this stuff. And then there was this lady who commented, and she shared the message, and it was like, it's really sad to think all these women just think like, oh, just leave, whatever. Like, marriage is really hard. And she proceeds to write this whole thing about how she's been married for 20 years and every single day has been hard. Her husband is really hard. They've had a lot of struggles, a lot of unhappiness, but like, she is still married and she's choosing to stay. And like, it might be hard, but that's not a reason to leave. Okay, well, here's my opinion they didn't ask for and that none of you asked for. Your marriage should not be that hard. Like, marriage has hard minutes, hard hours, some hard days. Like, you might have some hard seasons, but every single day of your marriage should not be hard. And I always feel so sad for couples who feel like that because I can't relate. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't want to be with him every waking second of the day? Like, what do you mean you don't miss him when he's in the bathroom? Like, I'm all texted him like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm sending him memes and I'm doing all these, like, I'm like, hi, like, remember me? You've been gone for 5 whole minutes. Like, did you forget about me? Crazy great, okay? I'm crazy great. But I just don't understand, I don't understand that concept, right? And that's a whole different topic for another day. But my husband, and I think because of what I've gone through with friendships and betrayal and feeling abandoned and alone and like I'm never anyone's first choice, like I'm never anyone's best friend, like there's always one above me. I realized from the very beginning that I was truly his best friend. He would pick me out of a room of 1,000 people that he loves or adores or that he admires or people that he thinks are super cool. You could fill an entire stadium of people and he would still choose to hang out with me every single day. He would still choose me. And I truly know that and I believe that. And he's made me feel so safe in that I never have to question, like, do you like me anymore? Surely I ask him. But of course the answer is yes, because he has never for a minute made me feel less loved. Through pregnancy and postpartum and my body changes, my different hair colors, fake lashes, not fake lashes. Like, I have 17 different personalities half the time, right? Like, and he loves all 17. He has never made me feel like I need to be someone else or that he wishes he had made a different choice. And the other day, which he has said this through our whole marriage, but the other day he said it again, that if I hadn't chosen him for whatever reason, if I had decided not to marry him, that I would have always been the one that got away, right? Like you always hear like, oh, the one that got away, the lost love of my life, or in another world we would have been together with, so-and-so and whatever. But he has always said that I would have been the one that got away if I hadn't chosen to marry him. Because I will say, our first weekend together, we went on our date on a Friday. I spent the night at our friend's house on Saturday. And then I left Sunday to go back to school for Monday. And Saturday night, he told me, now mind you, we've only seen each other in person for 24 hours at this point. But we had talked so much. We knew everything about each other basically. But he had told me, I am done dating anybody and talking to anybody else. Like, it is just you. Y'all, me and my dumb brain, the minute he said it to me, nope. All the red flags went up and I panicked. And I blurted out as fast as possible, I still want to date other people. And he just like looked at me a little shocked, valid. And he's like, okay. And then he just sat there for a minute. And you guys, in my mind, I'm like, why did I just say that? I have zero intention of dating anyone else. Like, I'm not even talking to anyone else. Why in the world would I say that? But I think it was almost like a self-sabotage moment, or I don't even know, okay? I panicked. And then he proceeds to say, I respect that, whatever you need, it's still you for me. He's like, I'm not going to date other people. If you still feel like you want to date other people, that's fine. And then he goes, I don't really want to hear about it. Like, I don't want to, if you go on a date, I don't really want you to call and tell me about the date. But he's like, whatever you need, you do, and I'll be here. And then the next morning, my friend's husband found out that I told him that. And he proceeded to yell at me on their stairs. Not like actually screaming at me, but a little rough tone of like, Hannah, what are you doing? Like, you're self-sabotaging this. And he's like, are you really going to date other people? And I was like, oh, absolutely not. He's like, then why did you tell him that? I was like, oh, I for sure panicked. Okay, for sure. Typical Hannah moment. Okay, panicked. Because I'm like, what do you mean he only wants me? What do you mean he only wants to date me and that he's choosing me out of all like other options? Like, what? No one's ever done that. No one's ever chosen me first. Ever. No one has ever loved me more than I've loved them ever in my whole life. So like, what do you mean? So after he yells at me, I cry. He was annoyed with me. Valid. Her husband, not Taylor. The husband was mad at me. I was like, well, shoot. I don't want him to think that I am actually going to date other people. So I go over to his apartment before I have to drive back home, and I was just like, hi, I don't actually want to date anyone else. Like, it's only you. You know, we're good. Clean slate. It is only you. You're only liking me. We can move on from here, right? Like, that is how this went. And then, like, the next night while FaceTiming, I said something along the lines of, I did not know someone could love me as much as I love them. And he goes, Hannah Coyle, that's my maiden name. He's all, Hannah Coyle, did you just tell me you love me? And I was like, nope, I didn't, right? Like, what do you mean I just said that? Like, girl, shut your mouth. Like, you don't always need to talk all the time. And I just sat there staring at the phone because I was like, well, I can't take it back because I mean it. I meant every word of it. But I was like, I can't be the crazy girl who says it first. Like, now I'm obsessed with him. Like, then he's going to move on, right? Like the chase, he's moving on. What are you doing? And I was just like, yes, I did. You know, and then he told me how much he loves me and how great I am and all was well. Okay. So that's why I would be the one that got away, right? Well, when I was pregnant with Blake, we were living in Arizona, and this couple that we knew in our neighborhood, she went to the hospital to have their baby. And for some reason, I'm going to try not to sound real judgmental here in this moment, but for some reason, her husband had some mental crisis while at the hospital and could not deal with, like, this woman just had a baby, and her husband went home to shower and sleep at their house and not be at the hospital with her, okay? I mean, we all know I have my opinions. Well, I get a text from someone else in the neighborhood that was like, hey, my wife's out of town. Actually, Taylor got this text. But he said, hey, my wife's out of town. You know, this other guy from our neighborhood is, you know, struggling or whatever. And he's like, wait, isn't his wife in the hospital having a baby? Okay, that's not the point. I'm obviously not over this. One day I will have an episode about all my thoughts on things like this. That's not today, Hannah. Rein it in. So they were like, what are you guys doing for dinner? And basically invited themselves over for dinner. So these two guys are at our house. I'm pregnant and we're feeding them. Yeah, this whole story's whack to begin with, okay? It's just, it can't be made up. This is how bad it was. You guys, this man proceeds to sit on my couch while his wife is in the hospital with their newborn, few hours old baby. And he is talking about baby names that he tried to get his wife to go for. And there was this one name that he really wanted, but his wife totally shut down. And we were like, oh, you know, why doesn't she like that name? And he's all, oh, well, because that's the name of this girl that I dated. And we're like, okay, that's kind of weird that that's what you want to name your baby when you date, like, what? And then he continues to talk about how she was the one that got away. And my flabbers were gasted. I was fuming. I was about to explode on him. So much so that Taylor could tell I was about to lose my mind. So I waddled my pregnant self up our stairs and I stayed in the bedroom for a very long time, crying because I was so angry at the situation and like, how is this guy sitting in my house while his wife and newborn baby are at the hospital and he's talking about the one that got away? What do you mean? Like, that's mind-boggling. That's just not normal. Okay, it's not normal. So, of course, my pregnancy hormones are all over the place. And later that night, I'm just like, do you have a one that got away? And he's like, no. And he's like, it would have been you. And I'm like, you better not try to name this baby after some random girl you know, okay? Like, crazy. That's just craziness, okay? But that's what he always tells me, right? Like that I would have been that for him. And that is how a relationship should be. You should be with the person who makes every day better, who makes you better, who makes you laugh, who holds you when you cry. Like, and I could talk about this for hours and years, and I probably will, okay? This will probably be part 1 of 700 because I'm so passionate about all of this because I can't imagine spending a day of my life with someone I'm not in love with, let alone a week or a month or a year or 20 years down the road looking back being like, wow, this has been 20 rough years. This has been 20 terrible years. And one of the best comments that someone sent after that person messaged how they had been married for 20 very hard years, they go, does she know she doesn't get an award for sticking it through? Like, you don't get an award for staying. And I think that that is so important. Like, you only get one life. Be patient, be picky. And something that I hate is when people will tell me how lucky I am to have Taylor. No, don't get me wrong. Like, you might hear that and be like, Hannah, that sounds rude. Like, does that offend him? No, because I tell him this too. I'm like, I am not lucky that I got you, okay? I am blessed. Yes, okay? But I was also picky. I asked him the hard questions. It may have been a short amount of time, okay? And I'll tell that story another day. But I did not go into marriage being like, oh, it's all rainbows and butterflies and there's no hard times and there's no, our very short dating and engagement was not just a smooth sail, and not in like a bad way. Just like life happens and things happen and disappointments occur and whatever. But he made every single day better, and I made every single day better for him. And I chose someone who I wanted to choose. Our relationship motto, like when we got married, it was kind of like, what is our motto, our relationship motto? I love mottos. I don't know if you guys have caught on to that, but our little thing has been, when something's different, you treat it different. And for a relationship, that is so important. If you are in a relationship that is different than something you've ever had, it makes you feel a way you've never felt. It makes you feel alive and safe and happy in a way you've never felt before. Treat it different. Don't treat it how you've treated every other relationship. Don't, self-sabotage yourself. Don't cause problems where no problem was. Like, allow yourself to love that person in the way that you want to love them, in the way they deserve to be loved, and love them different than how you've ever treated anything else. Because being married is the most amazing and wonderful thing when it's to the right person. And so I feel like I made sure I was going to have that, because I was not going to just get married and hope for the best, okay? And I know people mean well when they're like, Hannah, you're so lucky. But I'm always just like, no, I'm grateful for him. I love him and I adore him. But I also deserve him. I deserve to be adored. I deserve to be obsessed over. I don't need anyone who doesn't need me at this point. And that is how I felt about marriage. Like, I wasn't looking to get married. I did not want in that moment to get married yet. And it found me because God wanted it to happen, right? Like, we were meant to find each other in any lifetime at any time. I feel like it could have been sooner. It could have been later. We would have still found each other. I wasn't just going to rush into some random relationship and be like, I guess you'll do. Because that's not good enough, okay? And I want a lot of things in life. I have big hopes and dreams. And I wasn't going to start my life out by marrying a loser. Okay?